All right, what's up?
What's up?
Yo.
Supergood podcast, and today we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Joe Jenkins. What's up, bud?
What's up? I'm nothing special. I'm just Joe.
Just Joe.
Just Joe Jenkins.
Just Joe Jenkins.
So I've actually been a little bit excited to have Joe on because I really don't know what he does, but I know that he does all types of shit.
I like to be a mystery.
And a man who wears many hats. So
Literally.
I guess what we were talking about earlier a little bit, if you had to kind of define your title, your role, what is it that you do?
Like I explained a little bit earlier, I kind of coined a term a few years ago. I like to believe that I do entertainment relations. Out here, promoters have such a negative, how do I say
Stigma?
that? Yeah.
Or
you could say that, yeah.
perception or something?
Nobody really likes a promoter. Nobody really wants to be friends with a promoter. It's more so, it's very transaction when it comes to promoters. A lot of people that go out with them are, oh, I want, free drinks, or, oh, I'm trying to meet girls, or, oh, I'm trying to meet a sugar daddy. There's always some ulterior motive when it comes to interactions with promoters. And I never wanted to be in that bubble. So what I do when I say I do entertainment relations is more about the experience. It's more about making sure everyone has a good time, making sure that you can actually enjoy being in LA and enjoy going out in nightlife and not having to potentially feel like an object or feel like you can be traded for some amount of money. So aside from the nightlife, I've had my hands in everything. I used to do castings for Maxim magazine. So I used to work with their Maxim Hot 100 parties back when it was real. Now it's gotten a little ratchet, we'll say that. But back when like all the Victoria's Secret models were going, all the celebrities were going, and Maxim had a huge name and a huge presence.
Yeah.
I used to work with that. I have hosted, the Real Madrid Spain soccer team. Kicked it with Cristiano Ronaldo and all them. I've, been invited and taken people to concerts, whether like the Beyonce concert, the Formation tour, took people to that. You name it, Coachella. This is going to be my 6th year going in 2019. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm off on a tangent.
No, it's good. No,
Awesome.
that's what we're interested in. I mean, it's just like, so I guess we'll dive kind of into each of those buckets a little deeper, but let's take it back a little bit. Like, how did you get into, well, first of all, where are you from?
I was born in Savannah, Georgia. So everyone who likes a little Southern boy right here. But also from Savannah, Georgia, I moved to Columbus, Ohio with my mom, my 2 brothers. I actually applied to Harvard, got pretty far in the process, but then my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer. So I decided to stay close to home. Applied, got accepted to the Ohio State University, full ride academic scholarship. So
Nice.
Graduated from there,
cool.
Moved out here 8 years ago, and now I'm still here, still happy.
What was your degree?
I studied in the College of Education and Human Ecology, and I studied like fashion and retail marketing and management. So
Okay.
Nice.
So how long after you graduated did you move out here? Did you go back home at all?
I graduated in the spring of a year that I will not say because people out here don't know how old I am. I graduated and then spent the summer being reckless with friends, literally getting hammered every weekend, working, trying to stack up some money. Then moved out here in the fall. So,
And you've been out here for 8
been out here
years.
8 years.
So what was that point? Like, how did you decide that, yep, I want to go to LA? Or did you always want to go to LA? Like, when did you figure that out?
I was kind of touching on earlier before we started the podcast, and I'm glad that we're coming back around to it. I have never felt like I was supposed to be in Ohio. Never thought I was supposed to be in Georgia. And that was something that people continuously spoke into my life and spoke over me, where they were like, you are bigger than the city. You have so much to do. You have so many people to touch. And growing up, I never really knew what that meant. I I was actually raised in the church. I'm not very religious anymore, but there have been multiple instances in my life where prophets have spoken over me and like had these prophecies saying like the world will know your name. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know what that actually means, but I'm running with it. And that's something, I always get off on tangents.
No.
But so to put a pin in that, I don't believe in overly planning your life. I believe in having like a dream or a hope or a wish, and then just keeping that there and keeping that little bit to keep you going. Because a lot of times if you overly plan, you can set yourself up for disappointment. A quote that I read pretty often, very short, but it says, expectations breed disappointments. If you expect something to happen, you can't tell the future. So you don't know if it's actually going to happen. And should it not, now you've set yourself up for disappointment. Now you're upset because you created this thing that you thought was supposed to happen and it didn't happen.
Right.
So I don't remember how we got right here. So we're going to have to.
No, I mean, what I asked you was, how did you kind of decide like that you wanted to be in LA, and you just felt, you felt that you were beyond, I guess, the smaller cities or like something more.
Yeah.
And, kind of the things that you look to for guidance kind of told you like you need to get out here. So you came out here, which is, it's interesting because everyone has different stories about like that moment. And that's what I'm really interested in, is like, what's that moment where you were like, you know what, like I gotta get the fuck out of here. Like I need to go do something more. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's inspirational for other people to know that people are making that decision.
Yeah.
And some people feel like they can't. So, and it's, we're making little steps towards that or whatnot. So after school, you come out here. What did you do? How did you find a place? What was the first thing you did for work? What was your did you know anybody out here?
Jeez, that is you really take me back to a dark place. So many people expect moving to a big city because what you see in the movies, what you see in the media, they say, oh, I moved to New York or I moved to LA and then my name was in lights and I got this and this happened. That's not what happens. That is the farthest thing from the truth.
Amen.
So I moved out here and I had everything planned. You guys can't see the air quotes, but they're there. We had, my mom and I, we worked together. She did not want to believe that I was leaving because we're her baby. She raised us, myself and my two brothers, a single parent. Busted her ass to make sure we had, she was the one who, would forego a meal to make sure we ate. Like she's that ride or die. And when she realized that LA was where I was headed, she was like, okay, what can I do to make sure my baby is safe? And so, we talked to some people. I knew nobody in California, not a person. And then the summer, my reckless summer before moving, one of my friends moved to San Diego. So I knew one person in the whole state of California. But I wasn't gonna let that deter me. So packed up my car, drove across country, 36 hours. And what we had planned was one of our family friends, again, air quotes, family friends, because you realize who's real and who's not real quick. When I was crossing into Los Angeles, I'm calling, texting, emailing to make sure that, everything is still set. No response. Ended up having to live in my car for two weeks, with like $300 in my pocket and my mom back in Ohio crying because there's nothing she can do about it. We ended up finding some really like janky ass apartment in like off of Western, which if you guys are in LA, that is it's not the business. There were, prostitutes outside. There were like, it was a scary, scary place, like bars on the windows, but it's all we could afford. And it was the only thing we can get last minute. So that was my first place.
Yep.
It was this little pink box. but you tried to dress it up. You know, it's anyway. That was tough, and there were many times where I literally just sat in my car and cried because I was like, started to question if I made the right move.
Yeah.
I knew in my heart I made the right move, but on paper, everything falling apart, it looked like the wrong move. Mm-hmm. But it's in those moments that you have to really take a chance on yourself. And that's something I tell people all the time, take a chance on yourself because you never know what can happen. Being in those situations really shows you what you're capable of. And a lot of people, I mean, we're human. Most people would want to be comfortable. Most people would want, you know, all the guidance and all the help to get them through situations. But a lot of times you can really prove to yourself that you can do this and that you can make it happen. You know, we are the writers of our destiny. Like, if you don't put in the work, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to get to where you want to be. And yeah, I don't know.
That's real shit. Yeah. You know, we've been saying, he shared a video with me the other day of this ex-Navy SEAL that we follow, and he's got a podcast, Jocko. And the video he sent me the other day, it was like, basically like what you're saying, like, don't have a place to live, like, good. You know, don't have any money right now, got to figure it out, good. Mm-hmm. You know, because everything he says, any type of struggle, he says good, because it's a chance for you to get better, and it's a chance for you to figure out who the fuck you actually are. Mm-hmm. And if you can make it out of those scenarios, ultimately you're going to be better for it. So yeah. It's real shit. He's been out here for 2 years, and he's just starting to really like get into the flow of it. But I mean, it's a real grind. You know, I'm very thankful to had, you know, I'm just a corporate boy, so my job moved me out here, and it's a very smooth transition. I had friends, and I had people out here, you know, really close friends. So a lot different for me compared to your guys' story, coming out here and staying at different Airbnbs and staying with, you know, foreign exchange students and doing all these things that you have to do. So, but I think that's important for people to know. Like, you don't just come out here and all of a sudden you got everything you want. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know.
One thing I always talk about is from the Midwest, which we're all, you know, spent a lot of time in, coming here, at least in my business, it was a big transition just in educating myself how the industry works out here. I think that when we're going to college, you know, you're kind of trained to get your degree and then try to find a full-time job, and you're using that paper, using your experience to go interview. And it's like the process, the classes you take to teach you about that process, it's kind of like one thing. Right. And I always freelance doing video production outside of school. So I was always a little bit different, and I studied entrepreneurship. But even with that, like, kind of freelance type of mindset, when I came, it still was a huge transition in, like, you know, do I try to get like gigs daily? Am I trying to find companies that will hire me full time? Like, there's so many different ways in what I do, right, that you can pursue out here, that it's almost a little intimidating and hard to figure that out. And I'm assuming that, like, what you do is very changing and free and messy as well.
Oh, messy is a great word for that.
So, like, you know, coming from someone who, you know, you got your college paid for through academics, and you graduated with a college degree. Like, when you first encountered and surpassed those original challenges in Los Angeles, like, was that your goal? Were you trying to find a full-time job, or, you know, at the time, was it just making ends meet, or like, what was your next kind of focus, I guess?
Well, I've never been one to want a full-time like job. Again, you can't see the air quotes, but they're there.
Yeah.
Before I moved out here, I had multiple like job offers that were going to pay very well to allow me to travel and just work in various environments. And that just wasn't what I wanted to do in that capacity.
Based off of like your degree?
Yeah, based off my degree. Sorry. And even before that, before I moved out here, my whole life was about music. I sing pretty good, whatever. Maybe one day you'll hear me.
Or so the prophet says.
Hey, I'm just saying. I auditioned for Idol a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dope.
I've sang for the cast and directors of The Voice. I've been in multiple showcases. I've, used to be in like this singing group way a zillion years ago. Music was what I knew was my purpose.
What genre? Like R&B and stuff, or like?
Oh, because I'm black?
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah. A little bit of R&B, a little bit of pop, a little bit of, I love all music.
Right. I just love R&B.
I love Donny Hathaway, like old school. Obviously I love Beyonce.
Yeah.
You name, I love Gavin DeGraw. I cannot say that I'm not even gonna bring her up because I don't like her. Even the new age hip hop that our generation. No, we're pretty young. We're what, 20s.
Yeah, I'm 29.
Hey, you're still in your 20s.
I'm still in my 20s. 1 year left.
Oh, great. We're all under 40. Great. But yeah, like I love music, and for the longest time I thought that was my purpose. And then at some point I felt that I was almost forcing it. It shifted from me chasing a dream to me forcing a dream. And it's not anything against my talent or my abilities. Like I was gifted and talented as a child. I sang in the choir for 8 years. I traveled. I auditioned for a Ray Charles tribute tour that was going to go around the world for 2 years, and they wanted me to sign, but I was just like, I was young, very young at the time, and I was like, I didn't want to commit to something like that.
Right.
So, again, I'm pretty good. But at some point I needed to have this like come to Jesus moment where I had to really figure out what was my passion and what was my purpose. And music is my passion. I will always have music. It fuels me. It allows me to feel. It allows me to understand myself and understand others. But am I supposed to be doing it? Like, is that why I'm here? And the answer, if I'm being very honest with myself, is no. I believe my purpose is to encourage people. It is to connect people. It's to uplift people. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I feel like I'm supposed to be here to do. And the vehicle that's allowing me to do that is, air quotes, entertainment relations.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about the experience. It's all about, you may be down in your luck. You may be, struggling, as a lot of times a lot of us are. You may feel inadequate. You may feel any form of negative towards yourself. But I am very, very lucky to get opportunities to do very amazing things. And if I can bring you up with me to show you that, hey, it's not all bad, I have no problem doing it. That's why I'm always hitting you up. I'm like, yo, or like, hey, come to highlight. Right. Like, or you hit me up, can you doing a highlight tonight? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. You're always welcome. Because I know like you're busting your ass and sometimes you just want to go out. And I'm bougie. I'm not trying to pay for no alcohol. So they're going to give me X amount of bottles. Hey, come drink. So you guys want to come to highlight Saturday night.
Plug. So, all right, dope. So I guess what is so you come out here, you're kind of struggling, some shit falls through. So like, what was the first, you could have had opportunity, some music opportunities, you had opportunities, via your degree, but you kind of decided like, nah, like I need to be in a different lane. What's the first thing that you did, I guess, or like, what's that first gig that you got that was in, in entertainment relations? What's and then how did you get that?
Okay. So back to my living situation.
Yep.
I couldn't get my apartment because I didn't have a job. But I couldn't get a job because I didn't have an apartment. So I was stuck in this catch-22 situation where I'm just fucked at that point. So I made some calls, and I was able to, before I moved out to Los Angeles, I was working at the Abercrombie & Fitch corporate office in Columbus, Ohio. And because of the relationships that I built there, they were willing to transfer me to the flagship store that was at the Grove. So by me being able to transfer, that gave me the job. So then I was able to get my place. I was a full-time model there. So it was like between a store associate and an actual manager. So whenever a manager wasn't on the floor, I could delegate and make sure things ran smoothly. There was a rule that you couldn't fraternize with the managers, but I don't believe in rules all like that. So I hung out with the managers.
Right.
And one in particular, who shall remain nameless, she was like, hey, like I go out all the time. You should come out with me. Everyone will love you. Okay, great. Started going out with them. I was only allowed to go out with them if she was there. But after maybe the third time, they were like, if she can't come out, you're more than welcome to come. Like, come through. Great.
This is her and additional managers, or?
It was her, and then other managers started to, because I can keep it secret if I need to. So I wasn't blasting. I wasn't doing photos all over the place to incriminate her, because I'm not trying to fuck up her money. Because she was the one who, if we would have gotten caught, she would get fired, not me.
Right.
So I wasn't going to like throw her under the bus. I'm like, hey, you're inviting me into your world. I will abide by your standards and make sure that we can keep this going. So we were at a club one night, and I got lit before lit was cool. Hammered. Like, I'm talking about on the back of a couch, pouring alcohol from the bottle, like shirt unbuttoned down to the belly button. Why? I don't know.
Been there.
Oh yeah.
And some guy comes over to my friend. He's like, who is he? And she's trying to flex. She's like, oh, that's the promoter's friend. Because she didn't know if I was going to get in trouble. So the guy goes and talks to the promoter, and he brings me down. He's like, that guy wants a meeting with you tomorrow. I was like, uh-oh, what's up? He's like, I don't know. He wouldn't tell me. So the next day comes, I go into the office, and they're like, we love your vibe. We love your energy. Everyone loves you. Would you want to work here? I was like, work here? In what capacity? They're like, we'll give you a table. You just keep doing you. And I was like,
sounds like the dopest hangover ever.
Right. It was mind blowing. My thing, I was like, I didn't know that's how
it worked.
Right. I'm like writing thank you letters to like Sky Vodka. Like, hey, thanks for
sponsoring my blackout.
Right. So by me working at Abercrombie, I had an ocean of really attractive people to bring out. And so started doing that. And that guy who I had the meeting with was the owner of the club. So I kept killing it. And they started to put me and my friends behind the DJ when any celebrities would come through. And so, I mean, at that time, it was like Akon. I don't even know what the hell he's doing now.
Yeah. I think he's still behind the scenes, though. I think he's still doing something.
Okay, well, this is when he was on the scene. Right?
Yeah, got it.
Your Nellies were coming out. Like, we've hosted Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. Like, it was like the cool kids.
Right.
And then one night, some random guy, he's super sleazy, came through, and he was like, hey. And I'm thinking, like, every movie I've ever seen, some sleazy person come up saying, hey, like, it's stranger danger, you run. Like, but I'm like, I'm hosting the table, I gotta stay here. So he's like, what's up? Hey, I've been watching you the past couple weeks. I'm like, oh shit. But it turns out he worked at multiple venues, and he was like, is this your only night? I was like, yep. Just kind of got thrown into this. And he was like, I would love for you to come and host at some of the places I host as kind of like my partner. I was like, all right, cool. I'm open to it. This guy ends up trying to take money from me. He's like trying to hit on my girlfriends. He is just the sleaze that I thought he was going to be. So sometimes trust your gut, you guys, trust your gut. But I sucked it up for a little bit, and because my thing was that was an opportunity. And I'm going to seize this opportunity. My name is getting out there, and I'm just being me. And some people started to notice that. And then I started getting invited. I've worked at almost every club in Hollywood, just hosting my friends, no clients, again, because I don't want any of my friends to feel like objects. I don't want them to feel like they owe these clients anything. I don't want them to feel like they owe me anything. From that, everything just relationships. We're going to put a pause in that. Relationships, guys. Mm-hmm. If you guys that are listening take anything from this podcast, relationships. That is the most important thing in life. It's very important to foster quality relationships because when you're in low points, your friends are going to be there to lift you up. If you need an opportunity, your relationships will come into play. And you'd be surprised how many people, if you're like, damn, like I'm not happy with my job or I'm not this, not that. The people that you made quality relationships, they know who you are. They know your heart. They know how you think. They're like, oh, yo, I know someone who's looking. I know somebody who can help you out with this. I know somebody. I know someone. If you're a shitty person or you're trying to be someone that you're not, nobody's going to want to fuck with you. And that's something I tell people all the time. It's like, be yourself. Trust in yourself enough to want to be yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In LA, it's so easy for you to compare yourself and say, oh, like this person is more successful, or this person gets to do this, or this person gets to do that. And you start to second guess yourself. You start to not trust that you're on the right path. You start to not trust that you are doing what you need to be doing. And you can't do that. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't trust yourself and you don't start to surround yourself with the best of the best, you are setting yourself up for failure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So let me ask you this. What do you believe is the difference from networking and building relationships? Because I think there's a place for maybe both. Because sometimes there's people that, but they can still help you. How do you navigate those waters?
The difference between networking and relationships. Obviously, networking, in my opinion, is much more transactional. I'm meeting you because you can do this for me. Relationships is I'm building a relationship with you because I can grow from you. I feel that at some point I could maybe confide in you. I feel that us associating with each other, something great can happen from it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a business standpoint.
Right.
So it's like you and I, we met and we established an actual relationship. Like we're friends. I didn't know this was going to come out of this, but it did.
Right.
And that's something that's great. But it wasn't, I didn't meet you with the intention of getting anything from you. There's nothing wrong with networking by any means. You know, people come into each other's lives for a reason. We may not know it in the beginning, but it all pans out and we figure it out at some point. Sometimes it's to teach you a lesson. You'll find that a lot out here. So there's a lot of shitty people, a lot of people that will want to meet you to get to where they feel they need to be. You just need to, watch out for those type of people for sure.
Right.
But I think relationships go into every encounter with the purpose of developing a relationship, not for the purpose of networking. Because networking can come out of a relationship. But if you go into somewhere thinking it's just going to be a business situation, you're less likely to develop an actual genuine relationship. Does that make sense?
Right. No, I just wanted to kind of hammer down on that because I think that's important for people. Is like some people think that they have relationships, but they don't. They have a network and acquaintances. But if you want to take it to that next level, we just had this conversation yesterday. The more conversations and the better you can build a relation, like something can actually happen from it. Like we didn't know that this would happen. I didn't know that you would be here today. But ultimately, like our goal with this podcast and everyone we have on is to like try to help you get ahead you can potentially help us get ahead, but nothing forced, just by actually being friends and letting it happen. But I think it's important to also, I would say the next part to the relationship is, especially out here, and I'm sure you know, but when you go into every opportunity as I'm going to try to build this relationship, there's a lot of people out here that are shady.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of people out here just trying to get one up on you. So like for me, the first time I ever moved away from Michigan, I was 19 and I moved down to Arkansas, and I knew one person, and I found out real quick that when you're the new guy and people don't know you, they can tell you anything. And I just believed them because, I was raised that way. I gave everybody the initial chance. So I guess for someone coming out to LA, trying to build relationships, what would you say is advice as far as like making sure that they're, I guess vetting these people or making sure that they're, because you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But how do you be careful in doing that and not getting caught up in somebody who's just trying to take advantage of you or that's kind of it's a hard question, but
yeah, I am very lucky to have a very strong discernment. I can read people very well. That's not something that most people are blessed to have or lucky to have. But when it comes to relationships, I would say give it the time it deserves. Don't become best friends with somebody overnight. Because especially out here, you're going to lose. Like you said, there are a lot of shady people, a lot of people willing to step on you to get to where they believe you're the shiny new thing. They're going to want to use that to their advantage. So I would say keep the door open, but don't let that, how do I say this? That's a good question.
No, that makes sense. You already said like trust your gut. And that was going to be I was going to follow up with that, asking you if you have a good like bullshit radar. In that business, it's like you kind of have to, right?
Right. It's one of those, like a lot of my friends are like, damn, I should have believed you. Or like, I should have trusted you. Or I should have listened to you. And I was like, I know. Like when I've always been the one to believe the best in people, like I always want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But my gut is, I should put insurance on this thing because it's a thing. I've been very, very fortunate to block out the right people and keep in the right people. And it's proven time and time again to be real. My roommates there, they were like, Joe, like, we don't fuck with them. I was like, oh, I know. I was waiting for you to catch up. Like, because it's, I don't know. I don't know. You just have to really, if you trust in yourself and you believe in yourself and you know where you're supposed to be going, you have a strong idea and a strong hope of where you want to end up, trust your gut. You're going to know what's right for you and what's not right for you.
Yeah.
I think what confuses a lot of people and what gets them all caught up in wanting to be, the best friend with somebody who has this opportunity for them is the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles. If you're out and you're brand new out here and somebody who pulls up in a Rolls and says, I'm hanging out with, Khaled, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing this, and I got, they're pulling out wads of money. It's like, oh, okay, like
you're like, I found it.
Right. This is my golden ticket. Like, but a lot of times that is not the case. You will find yourself in the most compromising situations that will ultimately have you questioning if you're meant to be here. If you made the right decision, it's all negative will come out of that. So again, it's like, give it the time it deserves. Like really take the time to figure out who this person is. Figure out, is this opportunity going to get you to where you want to be? And a lot of times, none of us can tell the future, but that's why we have theories. That's why we have, we can try to map it out and say, okay, hypothetically, this can lead to this and this can lead to this. And if that's worth it, by all means, right. But protect yourself.
because there's people that are sketchy or have ill intentions, but there's also people that maybe have good intentions but just aren't the types of people to follow through. Like there's a lot of false promises, especially when alcohol is involved.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how many girls tell each other they're going to brunch the next day on a nightly basis?
That's real. That's probably the realest thing you've ever said. There's a lot of
Brunch.
Right. Oh my God, we're gonna get brunch.
So that's a perfect segue into the question I was going to ask you. Is like, building relationships, networking, meeting someone for the first time that you see that maybe business or whatever. What's your process on follow through? Because you can't rely on people like maybe the person does have good intentions, but you can't rely on them to reach back out to you. People who are actually getting shit done and trying to, network and make shit happen, you have to follow up. And so like, what is your follow up, I guess, like with people that you meet that you want to work with? Like, what's your approach to staying connected to them?
Well, out here, you're going to meet, it's an exaggeration, but it's not an exaggeration, millions of people. And for me specifically, it's one of those where when it comes to my follow through, it's like, not gonna lie, it depends on how drunk I was. That's a real thing.
So if you remember or not
right,
the next day.
But I'm also that person that gets your number. I'll give you my phone. You put your number in there. I'll screenshot it so it's in my photos because I know when I wake up I'm gonna look through photos.
Oh, good call.
So that's
smart.
Do that, guys.
As opposed to every few years you're just looking through. You're
and you're like, who is this? Yeah. Who is Ashley number 3?
Yeah.
Ashley Club 3.
So you have a process.
Yeah. That's probably like my main thing. If I get your number, I'm going to screenshot it so I can know to follow up the next day.
Yeah.
It's low-key a good idea.
Well, and Zeke, you were telling me that Joe was saying you try to do something networking related every day or something, weren't you saying?
Oh, I try to. I'm like I said, I'm pretty bougie, and so I get invited to a good amount of events. But I try to do one event a day.
Yeah.
As opposed to like some people try to be super extra and just try to fit in 4-5 events a day. It's like, one, that's stressful. 2, I mean, unless your wardrobe is popping, like you're not going to be seen at every event in the same outfit. So now you got to worry about your wardrobe. And also you're so stressed in making it to each of those, you can't be 100% at either of them.
Right.
So you're kind of prohibiting yourself from being able to make any good connections because you're
not all in that moment.
Right.
And then by the time you get to the next one, you're stressing to get to that one. And
then you're like, I still have 3 more. And
right.
like, wait, is my outfit ready? Is this, who's going to take the picture? Because everything's for the gram. Who's going to take the picture? So it's like, I try to keep it to one day or like one event a day. Unless I get invited to a podcast, then I can do 2 things in one day. Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah. Chilling.
Right. Taking it back to your question, which I forgot.
No, I guess that was, he said that to me and it was just interesting. And like, I think it's important. I mean, obviously in your industry, people are doing this more often. So like you were saying that you're actually limiting by doing 1 a day, but just in general, it's important. I guess I took it like it is important to force yourself to go network, to go do these things, and maybe specifically for your industry, but like this was something that we obviously created out of nothing, and it was originally just discussions, but it's something that I think we try to do as well. I mean, bringing people in here is the easiest way to do it, but also just going out and forcing yourself to make that connection, because going back to what you said, there's people you meet that, you know, you guys might have a great discussion. You might both have good intentions, but if no one takes that next step, you might miss out on something very valuable down the road. I guess taking action is what I'm getting at.
With that, I'm actually back and forth texting this new kid. Randomly, I was drunk after an event. Went to Taco Bell because it's always the Taco Bell sponsor me. Went to Taco Bell and met this random kid. He is currently 19, but his fake was Ohio. So I was like, oh, he's cool. And he's currently asking me like, how do I network? How do I meet new people? He's a stuntman. And I was just like, relationships, put yourself in a position to meet people. But with that said, it gets deeper because that's just, that's a very blanket general statement. But what I also tell people is don't put yourself in just any situation. You're not going to want to be at, penthouse, like Ace of Spades or whatever. What is that? Where exactly, you don't know what it is because you shouldn't be there. But it's like essentially, I mean, unless you like to be with, real hood, booty popping on a headstand.
Just depends on
right. It depends on
depends on what I'm looking for.
Right. Depends on what you're looking for. But realistically, you're not going to meet someone that can get your life to where you want to be at in situations like that. It's LA. There are a ton of events, a ton of parties going on, but just because it's a party doesn't mean you are meant to be there, one. And it doesn't mean that you are going to meet someone that can pour into your life. And I think that's something that people get confused about. What you're saying, take action, and make yourself go out to different places to network. Yes, but also no. I've been very fortunate. I've been out here 8 years. So in those 8 years, I've found many friends and I've lost many friends. I have met some amazing people. I've met some really shitty people who have taken advantage of me. And the people I've met, the people that I, grew to love, there are some situations you are capable of falling out of love with people. I know this is going in a different direction, but you will meet people and you will think that your kids are going to play together when you're 60 years old. You think that they are the people you're meant to meet. And then people will show the colors. A lot of times you meet the real ones. I believe it took me 8 years to meet my real ones that I have now. I think these are the people we've had our ups and downs, but they're the ones that stick around. And they're the ones that continuously encourage me. And they're the ones who, other than my mom and myself, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. And then your mom is your biggest cheerleader. And then it's your close circle. But these people have proven to be something amazing to me. And I always go on tangents. I'm a lover. So when I talk about good relationships, I go on it.
And you know what's dope about a podcast, bro, is I love it. I want to hear everything that you have to say. This is the whole point of having a conversation and kind of keeping it loosely structured. So everything you're saying is definitely hitting. So, let's make a quick little transition. So how the hell do you make money out here being in entertainment? Not you specifically. If someone wants to come out here and do this, what's the structure? I understand kind of the structure and videography and day rates and things like that. Or jobs, but for somebody, because I know you have a blog, and you can plug all that stuff too, but, and it looks like you're doing some advertising, social media. We haven't really got to social media, but how do you make money?
How do I make money? Relationships.
Right.
That's the most real. From the story that I said earlier, it's I met somebody, and then they brought me into an experience. Somebody met me, it grew. Then somebody met me, it grew, and now I'm here. With the most consistent would be, for me specifically, is my relationship with Tao Group. So I met someone. I don't know if I want to say their name.
It's on you.
Okay. Well, I met someone. They're pretty important. And I don't think I've ever actually told this story on recorded, but I went to Vegas working with another, hospitality group. We'll call it that. where they sent an RV and I packed it up with my friends and we would go to Vegas. We were doing this for 6 months. So I was in Vegas every weekend for 6 months on top of my obligations at nightclubs in LA. So I was blacking out 5 nights a week. Yeah. Like, damn. Insane. I mean, money was great.
Yeah.
But this time in particular, the guy that I was working under, I guess, he was very irresponsible and a little disrespectful, in hindsight, where he was out enjoying his night and got way too drunk and was unable to set up our pool situation at Wet Republic. So I have like 14 of my friends with me and there's nothing set up. So I'm freaking out because I want to make sure everyone has a great time. Everyone is enjoying themselves. Everyone will leave this weekend with an understanding that Joe has my back. Joe's going to make sure that I'm good. He's going to make sure I have a good time. Like, that's something. Relationships are so important to me. So I hit up a promoter and tell him the situation. He was like, all right, cool. Like, who are you with? 14 friends. Are they cute? I was like, I'm not going to travel with some ugly girls. Like, let's be real. And he's like, all right, cool. Come to the Palms. We'll have a limo. Stack in there. We'll take you to the pool with us. So we end up going to Marquee Day Club and get in super quick. I don't do lines in Vegas in any context. I don't do drugs.
Fair enough.
There was an asterisk after drugs. We get in there and there's this punch bowl and it's like this blue drink and I'm like, man, it's hot. I'm thirsty. So I grab some of the girls. They have all these straws hanging out of it and we just start chugging. And it tastes like juice. All right, cool. This is refreshing. The bottle girl comes over, the waitress comes over and she's like, oh my God, where did that go? I was like, oh, we chugged it. She's like, oh, well, I'll see you next time. And we're like, wait, what? She's like, that had 7 different liquors in it. And we were like, oh, okay. I wake up in my hotel room. Missed that whole night. Apparently I made out with some people under some waterfall. Apparently I did XYZ. Hey, whatever you do the kids still say YOLO? I don't know. So people are banging on my door. Joe, where you at? And I'm like, what? I'm not, what? We had to be down at the club. I was like, no, we missed it. Like, I just had to send an email saying that I fucked up. And they're like, no, like, we had to be down there in 10 minutes. And then they were like, did you text so-and-so? Who is so-and-so? Like, Tao Group, like that, the person. Who? And they were like, it was his cabana, like private hot tub. Like, he is the person. You guys had the best time. You need to text him. I was like, who? Do I even have his number? And my friend was like, yes, you have his number. Text him. Look in your photos, because I still do that. Even if I'm blacked out, I'm still going to screenshot that phone number. Text him, thanking him for the day. And he was like, you were amazing. You have the best energy. You're great. Like, we would love to work with you at some point. And I was like, oh, awesome. So even stay true to who you are. When you're drunk, when you're sober, if you're at church, on the street, or doing whatever you're doing, be the same, be who you are. So to bring it back to pay, now I have the relationship where I can bring my friends and we can negotiate whatever through their promotions team how much I would get that night. So it isn't a consistent thing, but for conversation's sake, that's consistent. Right. But it's based off of that relationship that I now have an opportunity to make money every week.
So it's kind of like each club night or whatever. It's kind of like a gig, I guess, and you get paid for each one.
Essentially.
And then I'm sure sometimes, like, you probably make deals where, like, sometimes maybe it's just a table and a bottle, or sometimes maybe they'll pay you this to bring this person, or
I try to do. I don't like to, when it comes to nightlife, I don't like to leverage my friends for money. Right. Especially when it comes to social media. I have a lot of friends that are influencers, which we'll get into that in a second. But it's like, they want to hang out with me because we're friends. But I'm not going to go to the club and say, hey, I have so-and-so who has X amount of million followers.
Right.
You should pay me X amount of dollars for them to come, because now that's not being transparent.
That's back to like, now it's more of a transactional thing rather than like just wanting your friends there and showing them a good time. Right.
So most of the time I'll say, hey, it doesn't matter who's coming with me. Just if I wanted to be consistent, X amount of dollars.
Right.
Doesn't matter. It could be a table full of like my homeboys, or it could be a table full of my girls, or it could be influencers. It could be whatever. I've had Calvin Harris at my table before.
Right.
Dope. Like,
so can people hire you to, like, if I have people who want a good time on a weekend, can they hire you to like bring them to places or whatnot, or do you only, I'm thinking in my head,
because I'm a relationship person. I know people in, Tao Group. I know people in Hollywood Group. I know people in SBE, you name it. For hospitality, I've established relationships with most of them. And I was just in London and met some guys over there, and they were like, oh, like, we're actually coming to Vegas, and then we're coming to LA. Like, it's going to be amazing. They were like, do you know how to get in anywhere? I was like, kinda. And they're like, oh, really? Like, can you hook it up? And I was able to connect them to who I needed to. And a lot of times I do this for no money.
Right.
I actually do a lot of the connections that I do is essentially just because I want to connect people.
Right.
If I can make someone's life a little bit easier, or in some way give them an experience, I want to do that. Right. I've been told multiple times that I need to start charging, because I'm connecting some people to some pretty lucrative deals. Mm-hmm. I just connected one of my influencer friends with a deal to do a capsule collection with this really like dope shoe brand in Italy. And like their price point's like $250. And like, should they decide to go with it, they're going to get $20,000 out of it, which is a pretty good deal. Right. And I'm not taking any of that. Right. But I've talked to people who are social media managers, and they're like, you need to get yours. So I still need to figure that out, because I never want, again, I don't want to leverage my friends to line my pockets. Right. But I feel like there is some way to do it. I just haven't figured that out.
Yeah. Like, just so you know, so we have just under 5 minutes. I was going to say maybe we should segue into social media a little bit, or if there's.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that. Social media.
Okay.
Well, just like, I feel like it's a common thread. Everyone we have on, especially a lot of the people we talk to are freelancers. A lot of people we talk to work for themselves. What is social media to you, and how is it involved in your business?
Social media to me, it is a platform to get me to where I want to be. Because what I want to be is essentially the Millennial Oprah. I want to be that one to encourage. Like I said, I want to encourage people and uplift people and show them that life doesn't always have to suck. And brands have noticed that. So I may not have, hundreds of thousands of followers by any stretch of the imagination yet, but people have started to notice, and I have started to make some dollars off of it. It's nothing super crazy, but never despise small beginnings. Everyone has to start somewhere. It's.
How do you, business-wise, do you reach out to people, via Instagram, or do people reach out to you? Do you find that as like a platform for connecting?
Yeah, a lot of people reach out to me on social media. They say, oh, so-and-so, because, I'll, in an experience, I'm out with X person, right, and a photo gets taken, and then it gets posted on like a fan page or something like that of this person. So then they'll be like, oh, Joe, like, you're friends with so-and-so. Can we send you product? Can we do this? And I was like, oh, yes. I'm not gonna say no to like free clothes or free shoes or free whatever. And then some will say, hey, by me being associated with certain people, these brands then creep my social media, and then they end up reading, my captions, because I put a lot of myself into my captions. and they say, oh, we love what you're doing. Like, we love the message you're putting out there, and we would love to be aligned with that in some capacity. So,
right. I mean, we just heard yesterday from this girl who reached out to trying to be a stylist for Antonio Brown, and he never said anything back or whatever. She's like, I love to style you, blah, blah, blah. A year later.
When she was nothing, she asked.
Yeah. Yeah, she just asked. And a year later, he remembered and hit her up. It was like, he's still in LA, need a stylist. And he came out here and she got to work with him. It was like one of her biggest clients, So it's like, dope. Shoot your shot. You know what I mean?
Right. She took a chance on herself. Right. She said, hey, I'm capable. Let me put it out there.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen is they say no or they don't respond. And that's fine. But at least, what's that? Go sports. I know nothing about sports. But they say, don't you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Yeah. Nice.
So look at me.
Shooter's going to shoot.
Yeah.
That's what we always say.
All right, Ster. Well, hit him with the questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I just checked. We're doing okay. I was checking battery life and whatnot. We're all right. But so there's a couple questions we'd like to ask each person just to be able to compare. So I'm just going to hit you with them. What's the most important habit for a creator or an entrepreneur?
Most important habit.
One of the most important to you.
One of the most important habits to myself. I don't know if someone would consider this, but this is what I consider staying authentic. It's something that I feel like most people wouldn't think that as being a habit, because they think of it more as like tie your shoe this way, or write everything down, or, map this out or something like that. But I think we should make a habit of staying authentic. You should try every day, actively, consciously try to stay authentic, because that will get you to where you need to be.
100%. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like it's a mental exercise.
That's real too, even like when you say that, because I think everybody fights that battle of, especially with social media and perception and going out, like everyone fights that battle of, like when you start dating somebody, you're always the best version. Mm-hmm. That's usually not really the version you are.
Right.
So like if you come up front with the version you are, then everyone knows that's who he is. He's always been that way. And that's going to get you way further ahead than trying to be something that eventually is going to get exposed.
Right. People still come up to me and they're like, you're so nice. Like, whoa. And I'm like, why is that surprising? I mean, this is who I was raised to be. A lot of people, but you've been out here for so long, you're from Ohio. So like we get people from Ohio are nice, but you've been here for so long. You haven't been changed. Like you haven't, I'm like, no, like why?
Right.
Why change from being nice? Why change from caring about people? Why change from wanting the best for people?
Right.
Like, so I like to stay authentic to who I am. And if I could tell someone to, like, one habit, stay authentic, because you'll be much happier by staying authentic.
Cool. Okay. What are your biggest influences?
I mean, Oprah.
What or who?
Oprah. Yeah. I mean, she is an oracle of sense. It's like I'm sure she has her skeletons. I'm sure she has, things that she's dealt with. I mean,
right. Everybody does.
But she's very exact with her words. And all of her words are encouraging and thoughtful and supportive and powerful. And they continue the narrative. And that's something that I want to do. I say I want to be the Millennial Oprah because I believe, yes, Oprah's amazing. And we kind of grew up with her, but she was more with our parents.
Right.
And she still has these nuggets of wisdom, which are amazing, but she's also sitting on $3 billion. So it's a little different. Like, she can say, you should quit your job if you're not happy, but it's like, she can quit her job, but she's, again, still sitting on $3 billion. I think me, because I have no problem saying I have struggles. Like, sometimes my bank account is like Paris Fashion Week skinny, like real skinny. But it's like, it almost motivates me to make sure that I'm going to be good. Makes me want to bust my ass even more to make sure I'm good, to make sure I can still continue to live the life that I live. So yeah, I would say Oprah is definitely an influence for me.
Cool. So you said that the music is your passion, but inspiring people is
my
your purpose. What has been the most rewarding experience in your work so far?
Most rewarding. I mean, I don't know. Okay, well, this is kind of weird. I don't even know if this is really going to answer your. But Beyonce grabbed my hand once. So I'd met this girl at this party randomly, and she was very secluded, if you will. She didn't know anybody. And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, girl? How are you?" Because that's just me. I want everyone to enjoy the moment. So I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" We're talking, we're chatting. She's like, I just know X person, Y person. So okay, cool. Well, I'm Joe. We should go get a drink. So we start drinking, and we just become like good energies towards each other very quickly. I was like, all right, cool. You guys not telling me anything's wrong. We're chilling. Obviously, at some point that night, I brought up Beyonce because it's just something I do. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time I saw her for like months. And I would just randomly just text her like, hey, just checking up on you, make sure you're good. She's like, oh, wow, that's so thoughtful. Like, I'm doing great. How are you? And carry that conversation. Then we wouldn't talk for a while. The On the Run tour, they released their tickets. Beyonce and Jay-Z's first tour, if you guys have been living under a rock. And I'm freaking out because my thing is like, at that time, struggling, making ends meet barely, but still enjoying life. I'm waking up in Los Angeles. I can walk outside and see a palm tree. I'm chilling. But I'm not going to be able to go to this concert. I go out to Malibu with some friends and I get a text. Don't buy tickets. I'm taking you to the On the Run tour. And I was like, oh, okay. What? So I call her and she's like, you were such a genuine person when I met you. And like, yeah, we haven't hung out, but you stayed like in my mind and you stayed in my heart. And I know how much you love Beyonce. So I wanted to make this happen for you. Turns out she used to do, she was on like the creative team for the Yeezus tour. And so a lot of the people that worked on the Yeezus tour worked on the On the Run tour. So she used her connections to say, hey, we need passes to get in here, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, absolutely, we love you. Got her the passes for herself, myself, and one of her friends. We get to the Rose Bowl. We get these little like stickers to put on our body. And with those stickers, we can go anywhere in the stadium as long as we're with somebody who's working. So we were like backstage, like under the stage, on the stage, like everything was great. Then they gave us these actual seat tickets, and they were not on the floor, but on the first level above the floor. And I was like, ooh, that's not good enough for me. So
that's not gonna cut it.
I was like, let me go ahead and shoot my shot. So I was like, hey, so these let us be with someone as long as they're working. And she was like, yeah. So I said, okay, give me 1 second. I go and talk to the cameraman who is right in front of the stage, like the main cameraman. I tell him, I'm talking about how much I love Beyonce and like just being very personable and smiley and everything. He's like, I like you. You can stay up here with me. And I was like, oh, okay. That was easy. So I tell homegirl and her friend to come up. These people paid $5,000 for their tickets. And I was like, I know that's not something I would be able to do. But we're up there because taking it all the way back because I took a chance and I said hello to someone and I told her that everything's going to be cool and like we should be friends.
I think
so.
I mean that the kind of the moral of this podcast is relationships. And so like something that, like somebody that Beyonce, like what she means to you, like your relationship building and being out here in general ultimately got you to that moment.
Right.
So,
and to conclude that story, I was up there. She started singing. She came over. Y'all don't believe me? I got videos to prove it. She grabbed my hand and I said, From that day, I literally went after the concert, after she grabbed my hand.
Chop your arm off, freeze
Right.
it, put it on the wall.
I went backstage, and there was this like eerie calm. You know, at the end of at most concerts, people are like talking, and like there's like this hum because everyone's talking. It was so quiet, and everyone was leaving the concert really taking in that moment. I literally text everyone that I had beef with, and was like, we're probably not going to be best friends. We may not even be friends, but I want to move forward from this day on with a clean slate. Some people responded, some people didn't. But I was like, from that day, that really put me on this path to encouraging people. And another influence, Beyonce. So,
as far as a rewarding experience, like that's
pretty rewarding.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, shit, I'm sure we have a million more things we could talk about, but we appreciate
That's fine. We can do a part 2. I can come back out here.
Oh, exactly. I mean, honestly, we're trying to build like a community of people to have conversations with and help people and just network and build relationships. Like that's what this is. So I think it goes